welcome on in Chicago. You have found your way back to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. We are going to be busy tonight. There is a full slate of news and sports and previews to get to on tonight's show. First up, over on the baseball diamond. It's been a little rough for both of the major league teams in town, the White Sox and the Cubs. The Sox have dropped 7 out of their last 10. It looks like the injuries are finally catching up to the boys on the south side. We'll talk about that. The Cubs threw their first ever combined no-hitter out in Los Angeles on Thursday night. That was about the only good thing that happened while they were out in Hollywood, as they dropped 3 out of 4 in that series, where now the Cubs head into Milwaukee for a big 3-game set with the Brewers. 3 games back of the Brewers is a huge series coming up. We will be talking about that. Then in the news, Scottie Pippen has suddenly become very vocal lately, including some bombshells that he dropped in GQ magazine and then doubled down on in an interview on the Dan Patrick Show. We will react to some of that. On the harcourt itself, the Sky are back after seemingly dropping out to the bottom of the WNBA standings. The Sky went on a 7-game winning streak and now find themselves back up near the top. We will talk about that and some more fallout from the Blackhawks news that broke last week. We will talk about that and maybe even preview the Stanley Cup Final that begins tonight. All that and more here on Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle on up. Let's have some fun tonight, everybody. And thank you once again for joining us here on Chi-Town Weekly. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Mondays have become busy here on IE Sports Radio. We've got Monday Mania, as it has now been dubbed. We are the third leg of the 4-show team here on Mondays. So earlier tonight, Gina G just got done talking about NorCal sports, with Reppin' to NorCal sports, talking about things out in the Bay Area. And then earlier tonight, Larry was talking about all sports out on the Defining Moment. But you've now found your way back into Chicago sports. We're back where sports are the best in the entire U.S. Without further ado, let's get some of the homework out of the way because we've got a busy show tonight. Our sponsor this week here at IE Sports Radio, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed, to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, Facebook, look up Southern California Warriors. And then IE Sports Radio, we are, of course, available on all the major social platforms, all under the same heading at IE Sports Radio for Twitter and Instagram, and then search IE Sports Radio for Facebook, or just go over to our website, iesportsradio.com. Larry B. has been hard at work at getting that updated and adjusted for all the new shows and new content we've got going up there, plus just giving you the chance to learn more about all of the hosts and personalities here at IE Sports Radio. So check that out when you get a chance. Ways you can interact with the show. The show is available on Twitter at IESRC. Be sure to follow along, and follow along with me personally on Twitter at Adam_Karnick. If you are listening live, please hop on into the chat room here in Spreaker. I see that Taryn and Gina are already there. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, Taryn, this is indeed a busy hour we've got tonight. A lot to try and get to in the span of an hour. Let's start on the baseball diamond. We will start with the Cubs out in Los Angeles. A big series with the Dodgers. Got off to a fantastic, amazing start. The 17th no-hitter in Chicago Cubs history. It was a combined no-no. The first one of those that the Cubs have ever had. Zach Davies, Ryan Tepera, Andrew Chafin, and then Craig Kimbrell all combined to no-hit the Dodgers on Thursday night. And that was, great omens to get everything started. Alas, that is not how, those were not harbingers of things to come for the series. The other three games, the Dodgers did in fact manage to get base hits, and they proceeded to get wins in each of those games, and a couple of them were really not even close. 6-2 on Friday night, and really that game really was not as close. 6-2 is a little bit of a misnomer there. It was close right up until the bottom of the eighth inning. A couple of home runs suddenly blew that game open late. The bullpen surprisingly struggled in that one. Ryan Tepera suffered the loss in that game, giving up a couple of runs, the home run, and just a third of an inning of work in that one. So the usually reliable bullpen this year for the Cubs suddenly was not against the Dodgers, and then Sunday's game was just ugly last night. 7-1 the final, and really it wasn't even that close. A miserable sixth inning. Adbert Alzolay gave up 6 runs in the second inning. A grand slam to McKinstry, and then Bellinger, for good measure, added a 2-run shot. Javi added a home run later on in the fourth inning, but really the damage was done by that point. It was just everybody wanted to get out of town, get done. Alzolay only lasted 3 innings in that game last night. The Saturday game was a good one. The Saturday game, we'll focus on that a little bit more. That one was close, 3-2. The Dodgers won in a walk-off. Cody Bellinger blasted a walk-off home run off of Keegan Thompson. So the bullpen responsible for 2 losses in the stat sheet in this series, unusual for them. But then again, with as many innings as they've been consistently asked to cover this season, you knew kind of it was going to be time. We'll start with the good, the no-hitter. Those are always amazing. Those are fun. That's already the 7th no-hitter in Major League Baseball this season, most prior to the All-Star break in MLB history. Emphasizes just how hard of a time teams are having hitting the ball and putting balls in play, with an increased emphasis on launch angle and hitting for power, less for contact. We're seeing the pitchers develop an advantage there, and even the Cubs were able to take advantage. Zach Davies not really overpowering anybody in that game. He went 6 innings, 5 walks. That's a ton of walks. 8 walks total. So a lot of base runners for the Dodgers, but they were able to keep them off the hit column and ultimately off the scoreboard, and that's the important thing. Some people thought maybe you should leave Davies out there to keep going in the 7th. He was at a pitch count of 94. Right move, right time. Zach Davies, you haven't asked him to go super deep into games. The bullpen has been hot overall for the Cubs. It made all the sense in the world. Get Davies out of there. Keep the train moving. It was also at that point, it was a 3-0 game. At that point, it made sense. Get him out of there. Have him be done after 6. The Cubs did score in the 7th. to get it to 4-0. But it still made sense. Even had Marisnik not had Hayward not scored in the 7th, it would have made sense. Get Davies out of there, turn it over to the bullpen, let them lock it down. You still have a game to win, even if you ultimately lose the no-hitter. So that was exciting. The rest of the series kind of bleh. The Cubs are an interesting team. I've talked about it a lot in this regard. They're in such a strange spot. June has been an awful month for the Cubs. They really have been taken to task in June. They've got a chance to still finish 500 for the month, but obviously this is not what you were hoping to get from this month. But a much tougher schedule for the Cubs in the month of March. You've got the Dodgers. You've had the Padres out in San Diego. You've had they had a series against Cleveland that did not go. That did not really go the way they would have hoped. They also did kind of run into a buzzsaw with the Dodgers a little bit. The Dodgers had just gotten swept by the Padres, and then the no-hitter kind of re-energized them. It's a little bit, if you use the analogy, if a pitcher gives up a bunch of base hits and walks and keeps letting guys on, and suddenly he gives up a home run that's a 2-3, even a grand slam, a 4-run home run, that can kind of reset him. And all right, the bases are empty. Whew, I can reset and refocus, and then suddenly he's good to go for the rest of the game. That kind of happened with the Dodgers a little bit. They got no hit on Thursday night, and then it was, whew, okay, reset. It can't get any worse than this. We turn around. It's a new day. Let's refocus our energies a bit, and they took the rest of the series. But even a series against the Marlins for the Cubs, you thought, all right, okay, at least they've got Miami, a bad team. They can turn around and take this one. They dropped 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. It's been a rough month for the Cubs, and now they've got 3 games with the Brewers starting tonight. You've got to have these against the Brewers. They're 3 games back in the standings. I hate to say that a series at the end of June is must win, but in some ways this is. You've got to take one. You cannot afford to get swept in this series. You've got Hendricks going on the bump tonight, so that's the guy you need to make sure you want to take this first game. Make sure you do not get swept. Hendricks has been on a tear the last couple months. His last 10 starts, he's been just beautiful for the Cubs. So this is the guy you want there on the bump. But the Cubs need to have this series. If they get swept, you suddenly find yourself 6 games back going into the month of July. I think all that goodwill you earned by having a spectacular May gets lost, and I think you're right back to being sellers. You're right back to, yeah, we might be able to catch somebody in the division, but we're not going to make any noise in the postseason. Let's just get what we can for our prospects and move on. So this is a very, very, very big series tonight for the Cubs. You've got Kyle Hendricks tonight, then Zach Davies going tomorrow night, and then in getaway day you've got Jake Arrieta. That getaway game going to be featuring the bullpen a lot on Wednesday, most likely, as Arrieta is just floundering right now for the Cubs. He had a decent showing against the Dodgers, but overall he has been miserable as of late for the Cubs. So tonight and tomorrow are going to be very important games. You almost have to count the Arrieta start as a loss. So you've got to take minimum either tonight or tomorrow to avoid the sweep, and ideally you want to take both of them so that you can at least be guaranteed to make up a game out of this series and only be 2 games back. As opposed to 4 or 6 tonight after this series. So rough one for the Cubs. White Sox, they've been they've been struggling too. They've dropped 7 out of their last 10. The injuries do seem to finally be catching up with them. Again, the entire outfield is gone. Part of your infield is gone. The bullpen is not being what you hoped it would be when you were starting the season. Yet, they find themselves 2.5 up in front of Cleveland. They would have been starting a series with the Twins tonight, but that got rained out. Tonight's game will get made up as part of a doubleheader on July 19th. So instead, they will do a start up the series with the Twins tomorrow. They're still going to get in 3 games with the Twins, assuming no more rainouts. The weather, my gosh, right now we've been just getting pounded with rain. So hopefully they don't lose any more in this series. Giolito going tomorrow for the Sox. Then Dylan Cease on Wednesday, and Carlos Rodon going in the getaway day on Thursday. That'll be a good measuring stick. The Twins have been picking things up lately. They're playing significantly better. They're still way back in the chase, in the grand scheme of things, still 11 and a half games back, but they have won 7 of their last 10, and suddenly they do seem to be picking up some steam a little bit, so hopefully the Sox can cool that off. And if you want to hear more about that series yet this week, you can actually hear about it from the Minnesota side of things. We have a new show premiering here on Thursday night on IE Sports Radio, the Frozen Lakes Show with Amanda N. She is going to be covering all things Minnesota and Twin City area sports here on IE Sports. So if you want to get a good recap of that Sox Twins series this week, be sure to check them out on Thursday night. But it's just been rough in town for baseball lately. So hopefully some greener pastures are ahead. The nice thing for the Sox, for the Cubs, once they do finish up with this series with the Brewers, things will get a little bit easier going forward. They'll have some easier times coming up. They've got the Reds immediately after the Brewers, and then they've got the Phillies and the Cardinals right after that, then going out and playing Arizona. So they've got some easier teams coming up. This should be hopefully just a little bump in the road, and they can hopefully catch back up. But if you're 6 games back, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. And then the White Sox, they might actually start the trade line moving a little bit. Some word coming over the weekend that they might be looking to make a move to acquire infielder Eduardo Escobar. Anything to increase some offense a little bit. I heard the great Steve Stone talking about this morning, that the Sox were supposed to be built on offense for this year, and due to all the injuries, suddenly they don't have that offense. They've got to do something to try and increase the bats and increase the offensive output for this club. So they might be looking to get the trade market started early here on the south side. So certainly a lot to keep up with. All right, we are going to take a quick time out, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about some basketball news. One of the former Bull greats has suddenly been a lot more vocal here in the last several weeks than he has for years, and he has some controversial things to say. We will talk about that and more coming up here on Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with a list of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Rose, great. Here to give you what you want. Here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. One segment down, two more to go. So much more that we have to talk about tonight, though. We are now going to transition over from baseball into some basketball news here in this second segment. Scottie Pippen, for years, has been very quiet. He's after retiring from basketball, he's kind of retired from public life a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, in the last few weeks, that has changed. Pippen announced a few weeks back that he has got a book in the works that will be talking about some of the history of his time with the Bulls and telling his side of the story of the 90s dynasty, the two separate three-peats. He recently came out with his own bourbon drink that is hitting shelves and getting passed around, and he's used that then as a way to kind of get in and be hitting some of the media circus a little bit. He did an interview with GQ magazine and then followed that up with an appearance on the Dan Patrick Show. And in both of those mediums, he talked about an incident with former Bulls head coach Phil Jackson. To set the stage here, this story takes place while Michael Jordan was being a baseball player, so in between the two championships. The Game 3 Eastern Conference semifinals in 1994. Game was down to the wire. Coach Phil Jackson drew up a play to take one more shot and try to win the game, and he drew it up instead of going to Scottie Pippen. The play was drawn up for Tony Kukoc to take the shot. Kukoc, it wound up, the play worked, it paid off. Kukoc hit the shot. The Bulls went on to take a 2-1 series lead. In the series, Pippen was not happy. You might remember if you watched The Last Dance last summer, Pippen was not happy about this decision. In fact, he was so unhappy with the decision that he took himself out of the game. He went straight from the huddle, sat on the bench, and just watched the rest of the game. He was supposed to inbound the ball. He didn't even do that. They subbed in another player for him, and Pippen watched the final shot from the bench and then headed for the locker room. That moment has been described as by many as if not the lowest point of Scottie Pippen's professional basketball career, certainly one of the lowest points. I see Gina hopping into the chat. Yeah, this is what I'm here. I know, Gina. This is what you were. This was the story you wanted to talk about today. I know. Excuse me for a moment. I needed to clear my throat. And then as a result from all this, in both the GQ article and then on the Dan Patrick Show, Pippen accused Phil Jackson of drawing up that play for Kukoc because Phil was a racist. And his rationale went like this, and I'm gonna read this quote from Scottie, and this is from the Dan Patrick Show. If you knew Scottie Pippen had been with the Bulls from 1987, battled through the Pistons and every other team that we had to get to those 3 championships, wouldn't you give Scottie Pippen one opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan? Like, 1 year without Michael Jordan. Can I get one shot? I'm doing all the dirty work. Why would Tony, who's a rookie, get the last-second shot and you put me out of bounds? That's what I mean racial. Like, that was Scottie Pippen's team. Scottie Pippen was on pace to be an MVP that year, right? Okay, well, why would you put him in a position not to be successful? Why wouldn't you put him in to succeed? Michael Jordan is not there, so who's next in line for you? That's Scottie Pippen from the Dan Patrick Show. I can't speak to whether or not Phil Jackson is racist. I'm not Phil Jackson. I'm not on the team. I don't know Phil Jackson. I don't know Scottie Pippen. Obviously, I can't comment on whether or not that move was made with racial undertones in mind. I do know that I haven't. This is the first I have heard that particular argument made against Phil Jackson. Now, you talked about Scottie also, when pressed about it, he talked too about how Phil Jackson, he would always tell the players how, we make a circle. We're a team. We're a family. And nothing leaves this circle. And then Jackson, when he was coaching the Lakers, went out and wrote a book about how you can't coach Kobe Bryant, how Kobe Bryant's such this hard guy to coach and this hard guy to be around and handle. And that seemed strange at the time too. So I can't speak to the merit of his argument. All I can comment on that is I haven't heard anybody else make that. Doesn't mean that he's wrong. Doesn't mean that from Scottie Pippen's perspective too that he's wrong. It's the way Scottie felt about the situation was, man, I've waited my whole career. I've been in MJ's shadow this whole time, and now finally it's my team. And in this moment, you're going to take this moment from me to go give it to this rookie? Man, the heck with that. I'm out of here. It's immature, to be sure. It's not something that a leader does. But I can put myself in that headspace for Scottie. I do feel like one thing we've learned a lot in the last year since The Last Dance came out, from listening to other people, that The Last Dance, highly entertaining. I recommend that if you haven't seen it, if somehow you haven't seen it, check it out. I watched it, of course, as it came out. I want to sit down and rewatch it. I just got to find the time to do it. I've just got to take the time to do it. But one thing we've learned about that documentary in the years since it came out, that really was MJ's story. Everything that was happening in there really was everything that happened in that 10 hours of documentary. That was Michael Jordan speaking to us, the audience. I see Gina throws the comment out there, was Phil Jackson racist when Steve Kerr made the winning shot instead of Michael Jordan? That happened in the second three-peat. Dan Patrick actually asked that exact question to Scottie Pippen, and Scottie Pippen's response was, Well, that wasn't Phil Jackson writing that up. That was actually Michael Jordan calling that out in the huddle. And keep in mind, the cameras that caught that, those were Michael Jordan's cameras. Now, this is Scottie Pippen's opinion right now. I am speaking what I'm telling you what Scottie was saying on the Dan Patrick show, summarizing. I'm not word for word here. But when Patrick asked Scottie about that, it was, well, that was MJ was being the court general right there, and he was playing to the cameras. He knew that his camera crew was on and running that, and MJ was playing to the cameras in that moment, in that huddle, changing it up to say, hey, I know that Kerr's going to be open, be ready to shoot. So that question got asked of Scottie, and he had an answer prepared for it. So again, Scottie's the first guy to bring this up. Maybe there will be others now that Scottie's opened this up and opened the door. Maybe some other people will come through. It's the first I've heard of this. But getting back to The Last Dance, we've learned that was MJ's show. We've heard from other Bulls players that were saying, wait a minute, that's not how I remember this. That's not how I remember this. They actually had a team meeting, if you will, post Last Dance, where a lot of the guys, Bill Cartwright and Pippen and some of the other players from the teams, actually did a giant phone conference meeting where they all kind of talked about it, and one of the guys stood up and said, hey, that was MJ's story. Let him tell his story. We know what happened. You let him tell his side of the story. The other sides will come out eventually. And I think Scottie, for all those years, Scottie, he played Robin to MJ's Batman. And he was cool with it. It worked. It panned out for him. He won 6 championships with it. He made, obviously, not as much money as he could have, as was pointed out in the documentary, but he made a lot of money. He's been able to take care of his family. But I think for Scottie specifically, seeing that documentary come out last year and suddenly reliving all those things, I think that spurred him on to be a bit more vocal and want to tell his side of the story. And we're seeing that now as he's got the book coming out. He's come out with this new bourbon that's hitting shelves, and he's going on the media circuits ostensibly to talk about the bourbon. But let's face it, it gives him a platform to get his side of the story out there. And I don't fault him for taking advantage of that opportunity. If he feels like he's been done wrong, write the record, set the record straight, get your side of it out there so that it can be known. But it is interesting to see Scottie kind of come out the way he has the last few weeks, and as strongly as he has. It'll be very interesting to see, if we get a response from Jackson, if Phil Jackson has anything to say about this. And then it'll be interesting to see if anybody else walks through the doorway. Obviously, the biggest guy that you'd think we'd hear from at this point would be, does Michael Jordan have anything to say? What about, would Shaquille O'Neal have anything to say? Shaq had a tremendous relationship publicly with Phil Jackson. Taryn, Larry, if you guys know anything differently, please let me know in here. With you guys being Lakers fans, the perception I always had was that Shaquille O'Neal had a tremendous relationship with Phil Jackson. It'll be interesting to hear what if anybody else steps forward and kind of backs up Scottie's claims and says, I think he might be onto something here with Phil Jackson. It'll be interesting to see. Taryn, why didn't Scottie make note of this earlier? I can't speak to, it's always hard for somebody's, you always want to be careful when you play that blame the victim card of, well, why didn't you speak out earlier about this? Scottie's always been a very quiet guy publicly. He's not been one to take a lot of shots out there in the media. And again, I think that he finally, the straw broke the camel's back, and now he's taken up the initiative, and here's how I'm going to do this. It will be interesting to see, will MJ have anything to say on this? Will Shaquille O'Neal, will any of the other, will Kukoc or Ron Harper or any of the other Bulls or Lakers players from any of those teams have anything to say about Scottie's comments and talk about Phil? Will Phil have anything to say publicly about it? Phil has been out of the public light for a while now, so it'll be interesting to keep up with that. All right, also on the hardwood, let's talk about things that are actually been happening now on the court. Over on the women's side, the WNBA, the Chicago Sky were almost ready to just be written off for dead. Candace Parker got hurt early in the season, and then it looked like they just were not going to be winning games at all. The Sky, after taking their first couple, kept losing games and losing games and losing games and losing game after game after game, and slipping further and further back in the standings, both in the conference and in the league overall. Parker comes back, and suddenly, my goodness, turned it completely around. A 7-game winning streak, longest winning streak in Chicago Sky history, all with Candace Parker on the court. The streak did get snapped last night against Connecticut. The Connecticut Sun beating the Sky 74-58 last night. But the Sky have been doing good things. Courtney Vandersloot was named the WNBA Player of the Week for her play a couple weeks ago. That got announced a week ago tonight. Unfortunately, it happened after I wasn't made aware of it until after I was off the air, so I didn't mention it on the show. I would have loved to. But they're turning things around, and now the Sky sit at 9-8. They are 4th overall in the league. They are 2nd overall in the conference, and things are. Candace Parker is starting to play a little bit more, a little bit better. She played 26 minutes last night. Wasn't her best night overall. Finished with just 6 points. The whole team, the team as a whole, only finished with 58. Only 2 players with double-digit scoring. Kalia Cooper and Allie Quigley both finished with 11 points to tie for the team lead. But they're back. They're making a run. We'll see if they can keep it going, if they can keep this up. Of course, the All-Star game is coming up for the WNBA. That's July 14th. They'll take a little bit of a break there. And then, of course, the Tokyo Olympics are coming up. That will put a little bit of a hiatus into the WNBA season as well. But we will see if the Sky are able to keep this going. Their next game coming up. I apologize as I'm clicking on things here. I'm just not quite as fast as I need to be with all this. I do apologize for that. Their next game coming up as I scroll down here. Again, I do apologize for the slight delay here. I had it and then I didn't have it. Their next game is this Wednesday down in Dallas, and the playing on the road has been very beneficial to the Sky. They've only won 3 games at home, as opposed to being 6-3 on the road. So playing down in Dallas, that should bode well for the Sky. They take on the Dallas Wings, who sit at 8-8, a half game behind the Sky overall. So we'll keep an eye on them, and hopefully they will stay relevant in the WNBA. All right, we're going to take one more break, and then when we come back, some follow-up from a story that I had last week, and then a playoff preview. All that and more here on Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development. But we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest owners. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com, part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. We've got one more segment to do tonight, and then we will make way for Taryn Rodriguez and Set Point coming up right after us. To finish the show off tonight, I wanted to do a little bit of follow-up on the story from the Blackhawks that we talked about last week, where one of their former video coaches has been accused of sexually assaulting two players during the 2010 Stanley Cup playoff run. The Blackhawks today announced that they have hired an independent firm to conduct their own review of the allegations. And this is coming from the team's CEO, Danny Wirtz. Quote, Much has recently been said and written regarding the two lawsuits filed against the organization stemming from alleged events that occurred in 2010. We want to reiterate to you that we take the allegations described in these lawsuits very seriously. They in no way reflect the organization's culture or values. And Wirtz goes on to say that, quote, an experienced team of professionals led by former federal prosecutor Reed Shar of the law firm of Jenner and Block, will conduct the review. So, after some accusations of that the organization tried to bury this and not do anything with it, they are now allowing an independent company to come in, an independent firm to come in and do an investigation, which is the bare minimum they could do. 11 years too late, but I guess better late than never. We will continue to see where this goes. It was interesting, since the TSN report came out about a week and a half ago, we've heard that with players in the locker room, this was kind of an open secret, that players knew that there was something going on with one of the coaches. And again, that coach, Brad Aldrich, he left immediately after the 2010 season. But even after that, players knew that, hey, something had gone on that the front office kind of buried and didn't go along with. And then I saw a tweet from Daniel Carcillo, who played with the Blackhawks for a while. He put a tweet out there with a link to the story, and he said, I played for Philadelphia during the 2010 Stanley Cup Finals, played against the Blackhawks, and even in Philly, we were hearing rumors and rumblings of something that had gone on with the coach. So this is a story that is not going away. It is something that it'll be very interesting to see what falls out from it, and I hope that that this investigation gets to the bottom of this, wherever it leads. One of the people that has spoken out about it from the league's perspective is current Montreal Canadiens general manager Mark Bergevin. At the time, he was the Blackhawks director of player personnel. Bergevin said he was not aware of anything that went on. That's relevant because the Canadiens are in the Stanley Cup Final that starts tonight. Here, they're going to drop the puck here in just a couple of minutes between the Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And you can hear, for the first time ever, you can hear all 7 games of the Stanley Cup Final over on our sister station, USRN. Matthew Owens is going to have the call on all 7 of those games starting tonight at 7 o'clock Central. A opening tip, opening face drop there for the puck drop for the Stanley Cup Final tonight. This is an interesting Stanley Cup Final. These are 2 teams, Montreal and Tampa, under normal circumstances. These are divisional rivals. There's no way that these guys would ever be playing each other in the Stanley Cup Final. But thanks to COVID, they had to realign the divisions, and not only are they meeting in the Stanley Cup Final, these are 2 division rivals that are meeting for the first time this season. This series is going to be a lot of fun to watch and be a great tone setter for next season and seasons down the road, as they have to now. This will be something that just adds a little spice into the Canadiens Lightning division rivalry once they're able to resume the regular division schedule. Tampa Bay, I would expect the Lightning to win. The Lightning have just such a strong offense. They're hard to keep down, but I wouldn't have expected Montreal to get this far. I would have expected Montreal to possibly go out in the first round, especially when they were down 3-1 to Toronto. But in hockey, in the playoffs, have goalie will travel. Carey Price has been playing so well in net for the Canadiens, and then the team defense in front of them. I should give the Canadiens coaches a lot of credit for devising schemes and game plans for taking away the Toronto offense, taking away the Las Vegas offense. The Golden Knights were the best team in the NHL all regular season long, but the Canadiens defense and Carey Price were able to get the job done. The Lightning have no slouch in net of their own, Andre Vasilevsky. Very easily, if the Lightning win, Vasilevsky could very easily get the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP. Carey Price, if the Canadiens win this series, Carey Price almost certainly would get the Conn Smythe Trophy for the Canadiens. First time we've had a Canadian team in the Cup Final in a decade. It was Vancouver back in 2011. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning are the reigning champions, the defending champions, so we could potentially see the defending champs win the Cup. I think it's been since the Red Wings did that in the late 90s that we've had defending champs win the Stanley Cup, and we have not seen a Canadian team win the Cup since Montreal did it back in '93. So hockey in July, that's historic. This series between 2 division rivals, we haven't seen that since the early days of the NHL. That's going to be historic, and regardless of which team wins, the result is going to be historic. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. That's all I've got for tonight. Woo! I know we bounced around a lot of different places, a lot of different things tonight. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you to everybody in the chat room, to Larry, Gina, and Karen. Thank you to listening. Thank you to the Southern California Warriors for continuing to support IE Sports. Everybody stay safe. We will see you next week. This is Adam Karnick signing off.